How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an individual profile on Keenan Allen, the starting wide receiver for now the Los Angeles Chargers. If you're unfamiliar with Keenan Allen, he's one of the best possession receivers in the league. Of course, he creates amazing separation, and with the quarterbacks he's had, he's been able to really kind of make the most of his career, and he hasn't really left San Diego, and he might go down as probably the greatest San Diego Chargers wide receiver in history before it's all said and done. Once again, today is his 29th birthday. So with this episode of The Elite, I'm just going to make everyone aware of the accolades and the achievements that he's been able to achieve since he started playing football, since he's gotten up into this very moment. And just like I said, to give a little bit of background, he's originally from Greensboro, North Carolina. He would eventually get recruited to play football at Cal. His freshman season, he would play 11 games in a season where Cal would finish with a 5-7 record. They missed it completely. They missed a bowl game completely, but he would finish with 490 yards and 5 touchdowns receiving as a freshman. You would see his numbers increase as a sophomore. He played all 13 games. This season in 2011, they would finish with a 7-6 record and they would make the Holiday Bowl. They would end up losing, but it would be the only bowl game that they made in Keenan Allen's career. Keenan Allen will go on to make the first team All Pac-12 in the only collegiate season that he played the entire year. And then in his junior season in 2012, he would finish with 737 yards in 9 games with 6 touchdowns, just like he did in his sophomore, with just as many touchdowns in his sophomore season. In a season where the Cal Bears would finish with a 3-9 record, the team wasn't performing incredibly well. But in that season, Keenan Allen had shown that he was a solid enough prospect at the University of Cal. He was taken with the 76th overall pick in the 2013 NFL draft by the then San Diego Chargers. And looking at how his career has really kind of taken off since then, he's been able to make the San Diego Chargers organization his home. His very first season was his age 21 season in 2013. And in the 2013 season, he would go on to start 14 of the 15 games he played in a season where the San Diego Chargers finished with a 9-7 record. They would make the playoffs, as this was the year that Phillip Rivers won the Comeback Player of the Year award in Mike McCoy's very first season with San Diego. In Phillip Rivers' comeback season, in his rookie season, Keenan Allen would finish with 1,046 yards on 71 receptions. Of course, it's very tough for any wide receiver to get 1,000 yards in their very first season. He also recorded 8 receiving touchdowns, which is tied for the most receiving touchdowns he's actually ever put up in a season in his entire career. Following the season, once they made the playoffs, the Chargers would end up beating the Bengals in the wild card, but they would end up losing in the divisional playoffs to the Broncos. And the Broncos would end up going all the way to the Super Bowl. This would be the last time that they made the playoffs for a bit. But the next few years they would make the playoffs, but you'd see Keenan Allen starting to, of course, increase his production. His production would take a hit over the next couple seasons. In his second season in the NFL, his age 22 season, he would start all 14 of the games that he would play in a season where the Chargers finished with a 9-7 record. They had the same record as the previous season, but they would not make it through to the playoffs this year. He would finish with 783 yards on 77 receptions. He had more receptions than the previous year, but his yards went down a good amount. And then like I said, the Los Angeles Chargers would miss the playoffs. And then Keenan Allen, that would be the last full season that he played for a bit. His next couple seasons, 2015 and 2016, were kind of plagued with injuries. In 2015, he would go on to play 8 games in a season where the San Diego Chargers finished with a 4-12 record. They won 5 less games than the previous season. Keenan Allen this season would be out with a kidney injury, and then a lot of this would and then he would be his injury troubles would carry over to the 2016 season. After he signed a contract extension with the Chargers, he would only play 1 game before he tore his ACL, his anterior cruciate ligament, and with that and in the one game he played, he finished with maybe 63 yards on the game. So 2015 and 2016 were virtually lost seasons after his second full season in the league. But Keenan Allen would officially revive his career and enter the elite conversation in the very next season. In his age 25 season in 2017, Keenan Allen would start 15 of the 16 games that he would play in a season where the Chargers finished with a 9-7 record. This is the third time that they've actually put up that record since he's been on the team. And coming off of injury, playing only 9 games in the previous 2 seasons with 32 possible games to play, playing just over 25% of those of the available games. In 2017, in the 15 games he would play, Keenan Allen would record 102 receptions for 1,393 yards and 6 touchdowns. Up until that point, that is definitely the most receptions he'd ever gotten a season. The first time he ever topped the 100 mark, the first time he ever topped 1,300 receiving yards, and even to this day, that is the most receiving yards he's ever put up in a season. And in addition to being named a Pro Bowler for the first time in his career, Keenan Allen was named the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year, one of the NFL's biggest honors that they award some of their best players, and Keenan Allen showed that he was, and in his comeback season, he would start his run of All-Star or of Pro Bowl appearances. This would continue in 2018 in his age 26 season, where he would start 14 of the 16 games he would play in a season where the Chargers finished with a 12-4 record. They would go on to finish second in the AFC West. That is the best record that the Chargers have ever posted since Keenan Allen has been on the team, the first time they won double digits. In this season, Keenan Allen would post 97 receptions for 1,196 yards. His receptions, he would have 5 less receptions in the previous season and just about maybe 200 receiving yards less, and he still finished with 6 touchdowns on the season. And with all of this, the San Diego Chargers would go on to beat the Ravens in the wild card round, and then they would lose to the Patriots the year that the Patriots would go on to lose to the Los Angeles Rams in Atlanta. And that was Anthony Lynn's only playoff season as the coach of the Chargers, and thus in the last couple seasons the Chargers have not been able to make the playoffs. But Keenan Allen has virtually been on it. His first couple seasons after his injury, he was a Pro Bowler. And then his third season coming back from injury in 2019, his age 27 season, for the only time in his career he would start all 16 games of the season, in a season where the Los Angeles Chargers would finish with a 5-11 record in Anthony Lynn's third season. In Phillip Rivers' this was the last year before they got Justin Herbert. In the season, he would finish with 104 receptions, the most receptions he's ever logged in his career. He finished with 1,199 yards. That is the third time in his career he's topped the 1,100 mark. The fourth time he topped 1,000 yards. He finished with 6 receiving touchdowns. And with this, the Chargers would miss the playoffs, but of course, Keenan Allen was a 3-time Pro Bowler at the wide receiver position. And of course, knowing how impressive it is to be that good at the wide receiver position, of course, many players tip their hat to how amazing and how consistent Keenan Allen has been. And all of this is translated into this most recent 2020 season, which of course was impacted with COVID, but everyone would still play the entire season. This season, it would be without fans. Keenan Allen in 2020 would start 13 of the 14 games in a season where the Chargers finished with a 7-9 record, with the third best record in the AFC West. And this would be the season that they would get a completely new quarterback as Justin Herbert, their newest rookie there, and one of the newest members of the elite for the 2021 calendar year. He would break an NFL rookie record for passing yards and touchdowns, I believe, on his way to an offensive rookie of the year. And one of his main receivers was Keenan Allen. In this most recent season, Keenan Allen would put up 100 reception yards exactly. This would be the third time he had recorded 100 receiving yards, and the fourth time he had recorded at least 95 in the last 4 seasons, over the last 4 seasons, he's combined for a total of 403 receptions. He's finished with 992 yards. This is the first time since 2016 that he wasn't able to put up over 1,000 yards in a season. He still put up 8 receiving touchdowns, which is tied with his rookie season in 2013 for the most receiving touchdowns he's ever been able to record in a season. And although they didn't make the playoffs, Keenan Allen would go on to be named an All-Star for the 4th season in a row, even though he was named a Pro Bowler for the 4th season in a row, even though he didn't top 1,000 yards. And just looking at how Keenan Allen's career has been since he's come back from injury in those 4 seasons, he's finished with 403 yards, 403 receptions for 4,780 yards and 26 touchdowns over that span. Definitely one of the tops among receivers in the entire NFL in that span, and that run, of course, is what Keenan Allen is in the middle of right now. And today he turns 29. With this episode of The Elite, I think with these accomplishments, just looking at where Keenan Allen is in his career, like I said, he is one of the top receivers in the NFL in an era of amazing, great receivers, especially with Justin Herbert being the new entrance, the new arrival for this Los Angeles Chargers offense. I think that with Keenan Allen on his offense, I think that the Los Angeles Chargers can make a very deep run, and they are always a threat on the offensive end as long as they have Keenan Allen out wide. With that, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 12 minutes of this piece. I want to wish Keenan Allen a happy 29th birthday. And once again, once all of today's exhibitions are done, I will come at you tomorrow on Wednesday, April 28th with a new installment of The Elite. Once again, thanks for listening to my piece, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.